essentially, as soon as... here we go, see? We got our first pop-up. You get a lot of pop-up boxes with different events in them, letting you know different things. Historical stuff, that kind of thing. Anyway, first one is here. It's a little introductory one. 1936, a dark time for Russia. It's a dark time for Kerensky's Russia. The government barely controls the streets of Moscow and St. Petersburg, let alone much of the rest of the country. It will be some time before even a proactive regime can realistically claim the lands of the old Tsarist Empire. And the military, inefficient, demoralized, and top-heavy with officers, needs radical reform if it's to be a credible fighting force. As I've already shown you, our military is an absolute shambles and a bit of a joke right now, so it's not lying. However, unseen forces... things look bad, however, unseen forces are waiting in the wings, ready to make their move. Trigger the Russian Constitution of 1918 event. Long live Russia, one and indivisible. Click that. There we go. The Russian Constitution of 1918. Signed in 1918, roughly a year after the fall of Nikolai II, the Tsar, the Russian Constitution defines the country's political institutions. The legislature branch consists of the State Duma, which is like Parliament, elected every 5 years, and the Senate, consisting of senior nobles, statesmen, scholars, etc., etc. The executive branch is divided into the President, elected every 6 years by the Senate, and the Council of the Ministers. Constitution guarantees freedom and stability. According to this box here at the bottom, we shall see. So yeah, at the minute, Russia's kind of looking almost a lot like modern Russia, I suppose. A sort of semi-democratic state, a republic. But like I said, that's going to change pretty sharpish. So let's keep going. Unpause it. I've got the game speed set to pretty damn high at the minute, just because it's the that's the credits there. Go away. Yeah. Okay. I understand. Right. Okay. Here's the first decision we get to make. You get a lot of these. Sometimes you get event boxes which just have one click, sort of OK button at the bottom, like the ones we had before. But a lot of it comes down to multiple choice stuff, which is very important because it has a lot of big effects on what's going on in the game. So, we have here, yes, the assassination of Kerensky. Like I said, he dies. January 4th, 1936, in Petrograd, which is modern-day St. Petersburg. The assassination of Kerensky. Alexander Kerensky, the President of the Republic of Russia for almost 20 years, has been assassinated by a lone gunman. With the President gone, the governing coalition of cadets and right social revolutionaries has collapsed, and four forces look ready to seize control of the broken nation. We have four choices now. We can choose basically who takes power. We can choose from the left SR Mensheviks, the socialists, secure a majority in the Duma, which has a bunch of effects here, as you can see on the side in the tooltip. Marshal Denikin declares martial law and dissolves the Duma. So that's essentially a military coup, one way or another. Wrangel's officers seize the apparatus of state. Wrangel's another general, not Marshal Denikin, but he's a different guy who is going to set himself up as the head of state through another military coup, essentially, just a slightly different one for some reason. I don't quite understand, but anyway. And the final option, which is slightly screwed up at the sides here, but I think what it says is aristocrats in the Senate elect Grand Duke Dmitry as the new Russian Tsar. So we can essentially return to being Imperial Russia. We can elect through the Senate another Tsar who will rule over Russia as Emperor. Now, we're not going to do that. What we are going to do is we're going to have the left SR Mensheviks secure a majority in the Duma for a number of reasons. Mainly because it has some more interesting effects a little bit later on, and also because it will have changed our sliders around here to slightly more favourable ones given the goals we want to achieve. Anyway, so yeah, the socialists have secured a majority in the Duma, in Parliament, and what happens next we'll find out in the coming months. Yep, go away. Comes up with a whole bunch of... oh, right. We've increased intelligence funding. Okay, that's letting us know that the computer, the AI I've put in control of our intelligence screens, increased our funding for intelligence operations. I can't click on it at the minute because this box is open here. But it's increased our intelligence funding, which means we will be more effective in our spying on different countries and things like that, which is good, basically. It means we have to put a bit more money, a bit more industrial capacity into the production of money in order to pay for it, but it's worth it, ultimately. So yeah, we've got another pop-up here. Boris Sturmer has died. One of the most experienced politicians in Russia, Boris Sturmer, has passed away due to a heart attack upon hearing news of Kerensky's assassination. Born in 1848, Sturmer was one of the few people in Russia to remember the Crimean War, and a symbol of Russia's tradition and continuity. So he's dead now. That doesn't really have any effect. It's just, well, it's part of the background flavour. I mean, here we go. Bukharin, who, for those of you who don't know, Bukharin was actually one of the original Bolsheviks who took part in the October Revolution, and who in real life was actually shot dead by Stalin. As one of the many people who Stalin had killed. But obviously in this timeline he's not dead because Stalin, well, isn't in power. So yeah, Bukharin is actually in fact the leader of the Russian communists at this point, because he's one of the few people who are left alive in the Bolsheviks after Germany swept in and crushed them. So yeah, we have January 12th. Bukharin hails totalism as the way forward. The Bolshevik politician Mikhail Bukharin has praised his comrades overseas for their adoption of Bolshevik doctrine into the new and rapidly gaining support system of totalitarian socialism, or totalism for short. Totalism combines Bolshevik ideas of state-controlled economics with broader ideas about the total involvement of the state in the running of the country, and is perceived by many to be a highly potent and dangerous force. Interesting to say the least. Our national dissent has been increased by 1% by that, which is kind of bad actually, because we've got a total national dissent now 26%, which is awful. That's absolutely bloody terrible, because that's affecting our industrial capacity, among other things, to quite a large extent. But anyway, we'll just press on. Essentially, as you can see, things are getting even worse with Russia in every passing day. That is, appointing a prime minister. The SR Menshevik coalition outmaneuvered all its rivals in the January crisis, and have gained an unshakable Duma majority following the submission of the cadets. Chernov, chief ideologue of the SRs, has been successful in pulling the strings, but it's now the time to appoint a prime minister. Now we have three choices. We stay with the Mensheviks, and we elect Irakli Tsereteli, I think. We can compromise and elect and make our prime minister the liberal Pavel Milyukov. Or we can do the third and far more interesting option, which is these are extreme times and we need a shot of Bolshevism, and we can actually elect Nikolai Bukharin to become our prime minister. And this is very interesting because this is quite almost a parody, in fact, of what happened in Germany in 1933, where President Hindenburg, for those of you who aren't particularly familiar with mid-20th century history, Hitler was put into a position of power because President Hindenburg made him chancellor in order to keep the left-wingers in line. And what essentially we're doing here is kind of the opposite, but it's the same thing. So we've got the Menshevik president who can potentially put the extreme left Bolshevik as the prime minister, which is what we're going to do actually, because it's the most interesting option of the three. It allows us to do more crazy stuff. So we're going to put Nikolai Bukharin in as our prime minister. And all sorts of fun and games are going to ensue as a result of that. Okay, well this is interesting. A theoretical breakthrough secret weapon. A secret project has borne fruit. Rocket engineers and heavy industry contractors have joined forces, and the project manager has presented the theoretical results to the general staff. It is believed that further research can lead to a series of advanced rocket and turbojet engines. So, basically on our tech tree, which I've again not really gone into much because there's not much point in doing it just yet. On our tech tree, if we go to the secret weapons tab, we now have unlocked rocket test and research facility, which is the first tech we can research, which will allow us to build rocket and turbojet engines and eventually missiles and things like that. Quite important in the later game, but right now in 1936 that's not a big deal whatsoever. Well, to be honest with you, we can't even build ordinary planes at this point, let alone bleeding missiles and jet engines and things like that. But if you're a more advanced country, it's a little more important for you. Russia, generally speaking, our main strategy for success is going to be to overwhelm the enemy in endless divisions of infantry, as opposed to anything fancy involving lots of aeroplanes and tanks and things like that. Yeah, so as you can see, our intelligence screen should have changed here. Some of the little numbers in the green circles at the side here next to this list of countries on our intelligence screen, for example, will be increasing now because we've put more money into intelligence operations, and it means we get more information on enemy countries. For example, I will select Germany on the list here, and it says here our intelligence network operates at an estimated 33% of efficiency in Germany. So we have our spies in Germany, and you can see down here a bunch of different things about the country. For example, you can see what tech teams they have researching what different projects, what different techs on the tech tree, and how far along they are with them. For example, we can see that Konrad Zeus is researching early decryption devices, which is basically computers, which are important for concealing troop movements and things like that during a war. We can also see that we estimate they have around 75 infantry divisions, and they have around 5 fighter squadrons, 11 bomber squadrons, 28 battleships, etc. Lots of info about, their military and stuff like that. What's worth pointing out is that it says here we estimate that they have, and it really means we estimate. That 75 infantry divisions is not an accurate number. That could be, give or take, maybe 25, maybe up to 50 or something like that. The more spies you have in a country, the higher your intelligence network operates, the higher its efficiency operates at. And the more efficient it is, the more accurate the information that comes out of that country through this screen is, you see. So that's why intelligence is kind of important, because otherwise you're being fed faulty information. Anyway, I'll unpause that and carry on. Hopefully we should get some more events popping up very, very soon. Here we go. Ivan Pavlov dies. Ivan Petrovich Pavlov, the widely known Russian physiologist, died today at aged 86 in St. Petersburg. Nobel Prize of Medicine in 1904 for his research on the digestive system, he is mostly known for his works on classical conditioning. The Russian president expressed his sadness and announced that his laboratory would soon become a museum. Our national descent has been changed by +1%. Let's hope that classical conditioning works on humans. Black Monday hits Russia. Now this is important. This is a very big event in terms of what the hell happens across the world. Basically, we have the Kaiserreich equivalent of the Great Depression. As it happened in real life, it's just hit. Basically, it hit Europe about 3 weeks ago, according to this Berlin Stock Exchange, and it's going to have a massive effect on the entire world, essentially. And you'll see what happens, basically, as it goes along. So yeah, February 29th, 1936, Petrograd. Black Monday hits Russia. Almost 3 weeks ago, the Berlin Stock Exchange plunged into bottomless depths, throwing Germany's economy into an unprecedented crisis. Now the crash's shockwaves have reached Russia. German and Bohemian-owned companies have closed down or laid off their workers. The Russian ruble is losing value and resource exports are shrinking. Bad news, basically. Our peacetime industrial capacity modifier has changed by -15%. What that means is the amount of industrial capacity we actually have available for us to use, as opposed to how much we actually have,